In today's video, we are going to discuss the tragic accident of Air India Flight 171. Air India Flight 171 was a regularly scheduled service flight from Ahmedabad Airport to London Gatwick Airport on June 12, 2025. The aircraft was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner with 12 crew members and 230 passengers. Shortly after takeoff, the aircraft crashed into the BJ Medical College building, killing all passengers on board, except one. 38 people on the ground also tragically lost their lives. All 12 crew members and 169 passengers were Indian nationals. Of the remaining passengers, there were 53 British, 7 Portuguese, and 1 Canadian national. The flight was operated by 2 pilots, Captain Sue Meet Sabharwal, age 55, with 8,200 hours of flight experience, and First Officer Clive Kunder, age 32, with 1,100 hours of flight experience.
Flight 171 departed Ahmedabad Airport at 8:08 UTC, 13:38 local, departing to the southwest using runway 23 for takeoff. Weather at the time of departure was reported to be light winds between 3 to 6 knots and visibility approximately 4 miles, with no significant cloud cover. The aircraft transponder showed the aircraft reached a maximum height of 625 feet. Mayday calls were made by the flight crew, reporting no power, no thrust. The CCTV footage from the airport shows the 787 aircraft climbing after takeoff, then slowly descending, while continuing to pitch up until out of view, followed by a plume of smoke. The crash site is 0.9 miles away from the runway. Eyewitnesses reported hearing multiple explosions as the aircraft hit the BJ Medical College building and slid. The only survivor on board Flight 171, Vish Wash Ramesh, a 40-year-old British citizen, was seated in seat 11A, next to an emergency exit. He stated that the section of the aircraft where he was seated detached and ended up on the ground floor of a hostel, which allowed him to exit the aircraft. He suffered burns to his hand and was in a disoriented condition, according to doctor reports.
So, what caused the Boeing 787 to crash? There are a few theories as to the possible cause of the accident: hydraulic failure, dual engine failure, improper flap operation, and airline maintenance issues. It is important to note, while there are several clues and eyewitness reports, until a final report is published by the investigating authorities, every conclusion as to the cause of the accident is speculation.
Hydraulic failure theory. The hydraulic system on the Boeing 787 is used to power several critical aircraft components, such as the aircraft's flight controls, landing gear, leading edge slats, spoilers, nose gear steering, and thrust reversers. The 787 has 3 independent hydraulic systems for redundancy: left, right, and center. It is standard procedure to retract the landing gears after a positive climb rate is established. This occurs almost immediately after takeoff. The landing gears on aircraft create a lot of drag and significantly reduce the aircraft performance. On the 787 and in most modern jets, the landing gears are retracted using hydraulic pressure. In the video, we can see that the landing gear of Flight 171 were never retracted. Additionally, we can see that the ram air turbine was deployed. The ram air turbine, RAT in short, is the emergency power source for the hydraulic and the electrical systems. The RAT is housed inside the aircraft during normal operations on the lower right side of the aircraft's fuselage. The RAT will automatically deploy in the event of a dual engine failure, a low-pressure condition in all 3 hydraulic systems, a loss of all electrical power to the captain's and first officer's flight instruments, a loss of all 4 electric motor pumps and flight control system faults during approach, or a loss of all 4 electric motor pumps and an engine failure on takeoff. The RAT makes a very distinct sound when deployed, very similar to a piston-propeller airplane flying at high speeds. In the video, we can both see and hear that the RAT is operating. Given that one of the reasons for an automatic deployment of the RAT is low pressure in all three hydraulic systems, and the fact that the landing gear was never retracted, it is possible Flight 171 experienced a failure of the hydraulic system.
Dual engine failure theory. As previously stated, another reason for an automatic deployment of the RAT is a dual engine failure. In the video, we can hear the sound of the RAT operating. However, we do not hear the sounds of the engines operating. Also, the crew issued a mayday call stating, "No power, no thrust." The video shows the aircraft pitching up, yet the aircraft continues to lose altitude, indicating there is insufficient thrust being produced to climb. Later in the video, the aircraft begins to sink rapidly, which is likely the result of a stalled condition. Ramesh, the only survivor of Flight 171, reported a loud noise prior to the crash. Whenever a jet engine has a compressor stall, typically a loud bang noise is heard. A compressor stall occurs when the airflow into a compressor is disrupted, causing a loss of pressure, which can lead to an engine failure, thereby making the theory of dual engine failures shortly after takeoff a possibility.
Improper flap operation theory. Aircraft use air flowing over the wings to produce lift. The faster the aircraft flies, the more air flows over the wings, and consequently, the wings produce more lift. At slower speeds, aircraft use flaps to compensate for the reduction in lift produced by the wings. Flaps are used both during takeoffs and landings. After takeoff, flaps provide the necessary additional lift required until the aircraft accelerates and generates enough lift to fly without the need for the flaps. As the aircraft accelerates, the flaps are slowly retracted into the wing. If the flaps are retracted too quickly after takeoff, the aircraft might not have sufficient speed to produce enough lift for its weight and could potentially stall. However, photos of the wreckage show the wing had the flaps deployed. Modern aircraft like the 787 use computer systems to calculate the flap setting required for takeoff using the aircraft's anticipated weight upon takeoff, the atmospheric conditions for the day, the runway's surface condition and length, and airport elevation. Without knowing what flap setting was required for this departure, it is impossible to know if the flaps were set correctly for takeoff. The other theory regarding the flap operation was that the non-flying pilot mistakenly selected the flap handle instead of the gear lever when attempting to retract the landing gear. Although a possibility, it is highly unlikely given the experience of the two pilots, the separate locations of the two levers, and the method of operation for each lever. Airline maintenance theory. While the other theories focus on the aircraft system failures and pilot error, another possible cause of the crash could be maintenance issues within Air India. Days after the loss of Flight 171, another Air India Boeing 787 departing Hong Kong for New Delhi returned to Hong Kong citing technical issues. Recent surveillance by the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, of Air India's 787 fleet did not identify any major safety risks. However, the DGCA did raise safety concerns over other maintenance issues reported by the airline, per the Ministry of Civil Aviation.
Again, while reading reports and analyzing data, it is important to remember that until an official report is released by the investigating authorities, everything is speculative. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching the analysis of the crash of Air India, Flight 171. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns of notable incidents and accidents in aviation. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What accident or incident would you like me to analyze next? Leave your suggestions in the comments below, and I will try to cover it in an upcoming video. Until then, fly safe, wishing you blue skies and tailwinds.